Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, okay? The best Walking Dead YouTuber around, and I'm here to bring a cool, funky fan theory that no fan has ever talked about before. Were the Whisperers foreshadowed? No. So I've been seeing a lot of these like stupid videos like this on Twitter, and I know this theory like cropped up a while ago, but it's a really dumb theory, and I thought I'd just do a video kind of debunking it. I'm gonna be watching this movie Idol video. I've only watched a minute so far. So this is for my research, okay? Now, I don't mind Movie Idol. I think he's okay. I don't think he does like massive in-depth stuff, but you know, I think his reviews are okay. He's kind of a normie Walking Dead fan, I'll say, which is not a bad thing by any metric. So let's just see. I'm hoping, okay, the Movie Idol. I'm hoping this. I haven't watched this video, but I'm just hoping.
Hey everyone, how's it
He doesn't have a brain dead take. Let's go.
going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I want to talk about a theory that I think has been around for quite some time, and that is the theory of, did Lizzie see the Whisperers? And it's a really interesting theory. I don't know if there's other, I guess, evidence out there that would maybe, prove. I think Lizzie was actually diagnosed with something, before the apocalypse, and so I think that's why she always looked at the flowers, because when she looked at the flowers, it calmed her down, right? And so I think that, obviously...
Diagnosed with what, Movie Idol? Diagnosed with what? Maybe that explains? Oh my god. Okay, so we'll do Lizzie before we do Morgan, because I don't... Why has Movie Idol done this? I normally like him, but like, Jesus, this is a stupid theory, okay? It's dumb. So, here's the original clip in question. The only evidence that these Lizzie spoke to the Whisperers people have is this.
Bad. Those things, they're bad. They are. We can't pretend anymore. I'm not pretending. You are. I know. I can hear them.
Ooh, that's the theory. She must have been the Whisperers that she heard speak to her. No. See, here's the thing. The thing that Movie Idol actually forgets to say is the thing that she was diagnosed with, the whole looking at the flowers to calm her down thing. Yeah, that's a coping mechanism for her. The thing that she was diagnosed with, right, is psychosis, right? Psychosis. Let's have a little look. What does psychosis sometimes entail? So I'm not a doctor in any way, but here's a few symptoms of psychosis in children. Delusions, false beliefs that are not based in reality. Hallucinations, they usually involve seeing or hearing things that don't exist. Hearing voices is the most common hallucination. Oh, fuck. I think I found it. Maybe actually she's just got psychosis. Maybe that's just maybe that's the explanation there, Movie Idol, okay? I know the rebuttals, okay? The rebuttals are going to be, yes, she has psychosis, but the Whisperers spoke to her, and that amplified her psychosis. So now she believes that every walker is talking to her or some shit. I don't know, right? Which is dumb for numerous reasons, right? But just to point out, right? It's not like she just heard the Whisperers talk to her. She hears every walker talk to her. There's a walker in the prison in season 4, episode 1, called Nick, that Lizzie gets sad over in episode 2, I think. She's upset, not over her father's death, but over the zombie's death, because she was speaking and having conversations with this walker behind the fence. And then there's the walker that she is running around the house with, and Carol catches it and kills it. Yeah, and she cries over that walker too, because she was hearing that walker talk to her, right? We don't know we can't see what's going on in Lizzie's head, but we, as viewers, we infer it, right? We know she's got psychosis. One of the, things about psychosis is hallucinations. She admits as much that they speak to her, right? That's why she's so sad that they die. And the reason why she kills her sister is Lizzie believes that because it's someone they know, that they'll be able to actually hear Mika, like she'll be able to hear Mika, because she, in her head, hears zombies speak to her, hears the walkers speak to her. So she's trying to get Carol and Tyrese to understand her worldview. That's why she murders her sister. Lizzie isn't evil. She's not just an evil person. She's mentally ill, right? That's what Lizzie meant when she said she hears the walkers speak to her. Now, there is some problems with the timeline. So, obviously, we don't know when the Whisperers were established, but Alpha hadn't met them until day 686, where, of course, that's when she first came on the steamboat. And obviously, spoiler alert for the Tales episode, after that, she met the Whisperers for the first time. And like a week or two before this is when the war with Negan, the end of season 8, the season 8 finale, is when all that was happening, right? So Lizzie had been dead for, I don't know, maybe a year, right? Or nearly a year. And Alpha hadn't even met the Whisperers yet until after the season 8 finale, okay? So that's what we're talking about in terms of the timeline. I just wanted to establish that. So could Lizzie have met pre-Alpha Whisperers, alright? Now, were the Whisperers even around, though? It's possible. I mean, maybe they could be. But you have to accept the following. So Lizzie and her family, of course, were living in Jacksonville, Florida, which is here, okay? And they made their way up to Georgia. Now, they say that the prison is somewhat south of Atlanta, so it's, it's in like here-ish kind of area. But like, even let's just say the whole state. So they go from Jacksonville, they travel to West Georgia, right? And they make it to the prison, okay? Now, Alpha starts in Maryland, in Baltimore, Maryland. That's where her and Lydia escape. And it's not exactly clear what state the steamboat's in. Now, at first, I thought it was Mississippi, because it was on, like, the Mississippi River. And this would, like, lend quite nicely to the theory, right? Because Mississippi's here, Georgia's here, Florida's here. There is still thousands of miles or hundreds of miles in between them, right? But it's still possible, right, that the Whisperers could travel. But thinking about it more logically, I don't know if that works. Because that means that Lydia and Alpha somehow, like, in a very short time, traveled from Maryland all the way down to Mississippi. I just don't think that's true. So I think it might have been up the Mississippi River. I don't know how far the Mississippi River goes, but I think it was more north. It has to have been. It would have made sense that Alpha could somehow make it all the way down to Mississippi. So I think the steamboat was somewhere up here, sort of northish. But that basically means that the Whisperers would have had to been around Florida, been around Georgia, and then traveled all the way north to meet Alpha, and then eventually Alpha decided to, go to Virginia with the Whisperers, and then eventually found the group there. It's too much. It doesn't make sense, is all I'm trying to say. The geography's all over the place. For just so Lizzie can have one little interaction with the Whisperers, right, to make her kind of go crazy. It makes no sense. And on top of that as well, why didn't the Whisperers kill her or implement them into our group? Why do we never get like any hint to this if this is something that the showrunners were trying to implement? I mean, it makes zero sense is what I'm trying to say. Putting the wacky geography to the side, you're basically accepting that the Whisperers as well, they formed into a group, they became what they are, they reduced themselves to this animalistic lifestyle in just over a year into the apocalypse, which to me kind of ruins the Whisperers a little bit. The reason why I like the Whisperers, especially in the show, is because it took them several years to become this. It wasn't something that they just instantly became. It was what they devolved to, over this time period. And that's why I much prefer the Whisperers in the show, at least at first, than the comics, because it makes sense. It's many years into the outbreak. Okay, so hopefully I've just shown you why the Lizzie speaking to the Whisperers is dumb. She didn't speak to the Whisperers. She just has fucking psychosis, okay? It's that simple, okay? It was clearly that's what they were doing in the story, right? Because her psychosis is important to the story. That's what makes her kill her sister. So no, it wasn't Whisperers. No, The Walking Dead's not going to do a silly reveal that reveals that Lizzie actually was talked to by a Whisperer. It's a dumb theory. It should have never have been aired. Movie Idol, you should be ashamed. I like Movie Idol, by the way. It's not an attack on Movie Idol. I just feel like he should have really done some good counterclaims with this theory, because he just kind of airs all the evidence in favor of it and doesn't give it the shakedown that it deserves because it's a ridiculous theory. On to the Morgan one. This one will be quicker, don't worry. So Morgan reveals he saw a Whisperer when he says the following.
I am people wearing dead people's faces. Morgan, listen.
He said it right. He said people wearing dead people's faces. That's a Whisperer confirmed. He must have seen a Whisperer. Why is he saying that Rick is a Whisperer, though? I mean, that's a bit weird. So, for context, of course, Morgan thought that Rick had died because Rick was meant to speak to his radio, speak onto his radio every day at dawn, but he was not there, right? So, Morgan thought that Rick was dead. So, when he sees Rick again, he's like, hang on, you're a person wearing a dead person's face. Now, Morgan, like Lizzie, is mentally ill, okay? He suffers from Psychosis 2. We see this quite clearly in, like, throughout Fear the Walking Dead, throughout The Walking Dead, throughout Here's Not Here, and clearly, like, he has violent tendencies, right, when he's in this deluded state. So obviously he has periods where he's no longer sort of in delusion, but the one sort of through line is whenever he's having his delusional moments, he tends to be in what he refers to as clear mode, right? And later on, he finally comes to, and he recognizes Rick for who he is.
I know you. Oh, man, damn it. I know you. I know who you are.
Yeah, like, just like with Lizzie, Morgan suffers from psychosis, okay? His is a bit different because obviously his kind of switches on and off, I guess. But he suffers from delusions. He suffers from hearing things, seeing things, okay? So when he sees Rick, he thinks he's being deluded, right? Because in his mind, Dwayne's dead, Jenny's dead, Rick's dead. And so when he sees this man attacking him in his home, right, he thinks, okay, this must be another survivor because Rick's dead. And then eventually it clicks in his head and he realizes that it is Rick and Rick's alive. And that's why after that he gets mad about the radio, because that's why he thought Rick was dead. That doesn't also talk about the fact that Clear, the episode where Morgan says this, came out, of course, in March the 3rd, 2013, and the very first Whisperer issue comes out in issue 130, which was released in August of 2014. So literally a full year and some more before the Whisperers were even invented, Morgan said this. So some people like to say, well, maybe, Kirkman told Skimple or some of the showrunners about the Whisperers. Do you really think he's going to be asked about putting a small foreshadowing thing that early when the comic hasn't even been released? It's just fucking ideas bopping around in Kirkman's head. Because, as put yourself in Gimple's shoes. For all he knows, Kirkman might abandon this storyline and say, actually, it's kind of dumb and I'm actually abandoned it. Why would he ever foreshadow something that early? Like, you just don't understand how writing works. You would never ever do that. It would be unheard of. So that's a stupid theory. The Whisperers weren't even in the comics yet. Again, just like with the Lizzie, there's a more simpler explanation, and that's Morgan suffers from fucking psychosis, okay? He clearly sees things sometimes. He clearly isn't doing so hot because he talks about murdering anyone he sees, dead or alive, he'll kill. So maybe we just go with the more sane, the more reasonable explanation. Morgan is just suffering from psychosis. Anyway, I hope I've debunked this silly theory for you. I know the title makes it look like I support the theory, but actually I don't. Again, no hate on anyone, like anyone who believes in this theory. If you believed in this theory at some point, you were duped, you were hoodwinked, you were bamboozled, you were led astray, you were run amok. But I understand why, because to be fair, when people splice out of context clips together and they don't tell the whole story, it's very easy to fall for these theories, and they're just clickbait. They're fake and they're not real fans, in my opinion. Well, maybe they are, but they're fans who haven't watched the show properly, and they kind of see a clip on YouTube or see a Reddit post. They watch one clip or they watch one episode. They don't watch the larger season at hand, and they just make their conclusion for that. Unfortunately, that's obviously what Movie Idol did in his video. Again, no hate on Movie Idol, but he literally says at the start he rewatched The Grove, and that was the only episode he rewatched, and he didn't watch all the stuff before that, that would have revealed a bit more information. So, yeah, my advice is whenever you see these ridiculous theories, take them with a pinch of salt. They're probably bullshit, like this one is.